Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Purdue Cal You. I'm your host, Steven Haas. With us today is Dr. Kamalipour, Dr. Yahya Kamalipour, the head of the Communication Creative Arts Department here at Purdue Cal. And Dr. Kamalipour, welcome to the program.
Thank you, my pleasure.
And I understand exciting things as usual going on in the Communication Creative Arts Department. We have a new degree option to tell everyone about. Can you tell us a little bit about this?
Of course. Exciting things take place all the time in the Department of Communication and Creative Arts. And starting this semester, we are offering a new degree option called Visual Communication and Graphic Arts. And this is an area where there is a huge job market. And what the degree does, we have joined with the Department of Manufacturing Technology and Supervision. So they offer the technical courses, and we offer the artistic courses in this option. So it combines both the artistic elements and also the technological elements. We are offering, in fact, one new course this semester. It's called Introduction to Photography. It focuses on digital photography using computers and a software called Photoshop. So everything is done electronically. And this is in response, again, to the market demands. This is in response to the changes, technological changes. We are now in what is called the digital age. And being committed to student success and being committed to the developments of the region, we are doing our part, and we are constantly looking for what needs there are that we can fulfill, and this is one of those needs. So it's an exciting new option for students who are interested in graphic arts and have artistic abilities.
Now, about the photography class that's going to be offered, will this vary different? I know we have a lot of shutterbugs out there in the audience. Is digital photography very different than a standard single lens reflex 35mm camera? Or?
Well, certainly, I mean, the camera is different because you don't have film. It's digital, and you don't go through the process of processing your film in a dark room, if you will. Everything is done electronically on the computers.
So no smelly chemicals.
No smelly chemicals. And another advantage of the digital technology and digital photography is that you can alter pictures. Before you could to some degree, but now it's amazing what you can do with pictures and visuals using the standard software packages such as Photoshop and others.
Now, Photoshop is relatively new computer program, right? Maybe 5 years old? I don't know what the age of it is, but I know it hasn't been around that long.
It is one of the popular packages. I'm not sure for how long it's been around, but it's used commonly by various artists and photographers and what have you.
Is it easier to use a digital camera than the 35mm, or are you afforded certain luxuries with the digital that you wouldn't, I mean, outside of the cropping and the image manipulation?
I mean, the process of taking picture is essentially the same. I mean, in fact, you learn the same techniques in terms of composition and framing, angle, background, lighting, and what have you. And the only difference is that everything is processed digitally. And as I said before, you can manipulate images.
I know so many of our listeners are concerned about employment and jobs and things of that sort. How would this benefit someone taking this course or going off in this new degree option?
This degree option offers many possibilities. I mean, in addition to being able to work with softwares such as Photoshop one also learns to work with another software called Quarks Express, which is used by the publishers. Also web design. And there are courses that focus on the content, on color, on perspective, on the aesthetic aspects of web design, or designing magazines, brochures, and any company, any corporation would be interested in a person who has these kind of skills.
And I don't think too many people have those kind of skills right now. I mean, this is a very needed thing.
Right. In fact, there is a shortage at this moment. There's a shortage of people who have those kind of skills.
Now, is this the first time that Purdue Cal is offering a photography course here on campus, or?
Yes.
Oh,
yes,
really?
This is the first time that we are offering a photography course.
And we're going right into the digital age.
Yes. Yes.
Well, you have a lot of other exciting things going on. This was something that I really wanted to get to, a new online international journal. And I understand it's been many years in development and it's now off the ground.
Yes, I'm happy to inform you, Steve, that we now have a brand new journal called Global Media Journal. It's an online publication, and its first issue premiered last semester. We have two issues, a spring issue and fall issue. This journal is advised, or we have a board of an advisory board who come from all over the world, representing all the continents, and most of the advisory members of prominent scholars in the field of international communication. And it has already received a lot of recognition throughout the world. It offers some unique opportunities for the first time. Again, it's being the first of its kind. We are exploring new opportunities. For instance, let's say that there is an article, and in fact there is an article in the last issue, fall 2002 issue, about movies. You take a certain genre, Western or whatever, and you're talking about a particular movie in your article. And at some point you refer to a particular scene in your article. What we can do, and this is the beauty of digital technology again, what we can do is you can click on a link and go to a location where you can view that footage and come back to the article. Or let's say there's a comment, there's an excerpt from a book, from another article, from a newspaper report. We can click on a link and go to the article or to the chapter, or to listen to a radio interview or television interview or a television news report. It's marvelous what you can do with this new technology. And also this journal, for the first time, offers the graduate students, especially the doctoral student, an opportunity to publish their work online. So we have two separate sections in the journal. The one is intended for the accomplished, established researchers and scholars, and the other one is for the graduate students. And of course, the papers are refereed, that is, they're reviewed and selected for inclusion in the journal. And another option that this journal offers, it is interactive. That is, students, interested individuals can pose questions, and post the questions, and then other people respond to the questions. And in addition to that, we have, of course, new books and announcements and so on and so forth, and links to other related sites dealing with global communication.
I could see where that would be very exciting, because traditional media can't offer an instant click. I mean, you can't say during a newscast, oh, stop, we're going to show you this over here now.
Yes.
You know, it'd be too confusing for a television viewer, but absolutely not for someone on the internet.
No, it's amazing what you can do with this kind of publication. You know, in addition to this, and it took me 4 years.
Oh, wow.
To introduce the new issue, or the first issue of the journal. And there is a companion site called Global Media Monitor. Now the global, also I created that, and the Global Media Monitor is like a virtual library. Anything that you want to know about international communication, you go to this site. It's there. Newspapers from all over the world, radio stations, or if you want to learn about public relations, advertising, rules and regulations, it's there. Again, that's the beauty of this new, what is called digital age. All sorts of possibilities.
Never ceases to amaze me what this technology is doing for us. I mean, it's just amazing.
It's wonderful.
It really is. I mean, it really is. I mean, to think that much information is at your disposal with simply a mouse click.
Yes.
You know, whereas before you would have to go to a reference librarian and go through volumes and volumes of books, and it's just so much more convenient that way.
Certainly. I mean, it reminds me of when often I think of when I was working on my doctoral dissertation using a typewriter.
Oh. You're showing your age, Dr. Kamalipour. Yes. I think they still use typewriters somewhere, though.
Yes.
Maybe for labels or something, but yes, it's terribly efficient time saver, if you will.
It is wonderful. It is, the new technology certainly offers many advantages, and of course there are disadvantages.
Certainly.
And I'm quite excited about the journal, about Monitor, Global Media Monitor, the virtual library, and also this new option, visual communication and graphic arts. And they sort of mesh together, support one another.
Well, Dr. Kamalipour, you haven't let me down. There's a lot of exciting things to talk about, but unfortunately we're out of time right now. I'd love to have you back on the program. We could talk more about the digital technology and how it's affecting the field of international and local communication.
Of course.
For that matter.
Of course.
Dr. Kamalipour, thanks again for coming on to the program. And we'll be back with more show right after this.
My name is Ryan, and I've been a communication major now for about 3 years at Purdue Cal.
My name's Kara, and I've been a public relations major for 2 years now. I started off as an elementary education major, and I think the switch was the best decision I made.
I really like it here at Purdue Cal. I mean, the people are great, so are the teachers.
My name is Joshana. I've been in the communications department at Purdue University Calumet for 2.5 years, majoring in radio and television broadcasting.
My name is Adam. I've been a communications major for about 2 years. I originally started off as an English lit major, but I'm liking the change.
Here, learning is exciting and the professors are great. They take the time to make sure you have a clear understanding of what they're teaching. It's obvious they enjoy what they do and they are concerned about our future.
This department has taught me a lot. I've had a great time. Professors are great. I've met a lot of great people, and I really think I've learned a lot, and I still have a lot more to learn, but I've been having fun doing it, and it's a great department to be in.
In the communications department of Purdue University Calumet, I know I have a future.
And welcome back to the program, everyone. With us now is Carol Zinka, the Associate Director of Financial Aid here at Purdue University Calumet. And Carol, welcome to the program, and welcome to the program.
Well, it's nice to be here. Yeah.
It's
On
Monday,
a cold
you know.
day.
Yes, indeed, indeed.
Yeah.
Now we've got a lot of important things to discuss. Carol, I know that February is Financial Aid Awareness Month, and we really do need to get the word out about this. What makes this time of year so important for those planning to attend college next fall?
Well, what we're doing is planning all types of activity for the students and their families to become aware of how important it is to file already for fall of '03. So during a Financial Aid Awareness Month, we're bringing forth messages such as yours today, and also different workshops that we have on campus, and then going to the classrooms and meeting with the students. The important thing is for students to realize how important it is to file for financial aid for September, for the fall.
And you say that students need to file something. Is it an application, or what exactly do they need to file?
It is an application. It's called the FAFSA, the FAFSA, and that's an acronym that stands for Free Application for Federal Student Aid. It's important that students file this particular application if they want to be considered for any type of federal or state or possibly institutional or campus-based aid.
And is it difficult to fill out that application, or?
No, it gets easier.
Well, right. For you maybe, but
yes.
I mean, an application, anything with the federal government, so many times people get intimidated by you know, federal forms and things of that sort.
Well, I think it's really easy, and they're making it easier and easier. And basically, if you have your 1040s filled out, then you're just going to take some of that information and place it on the FAFSA and submit it to the federal processor. The important thing at this time is really that students and their families realize that there is an important state deadline, and that is received by March 10th. And so, in other words, they're filling out the FAFSA, the free application for federal student aid. They're submitting it to the federal processor, and they want to be sure that it's received by March 10th. The federal processor will send it on to the state for their calculations.
Now, you mentioned something about 1040 forms, tax forms, obviously. Would the student and the parents have to have their taxes filed by then, or would they just have to have a certain amount of information like from the W-2 forms?
It is always best to have your taxes filed by the time you file your FAFSA. However, if you do not have an opportunity to do so, you want to be sure that you file at least estimated.
Okay.
And use estimated information on the FAFSA. The really important thing, and can't stress that enough, is to have the FAFSA received by the federal processor by March 10th.
So the families and the student would have to get the taxes pretty much nailed down well before the IRS deadline of April 15th.
Yes, yeah, that's correct.
Because March 10th obviously is a lot before April 15th.
Right, but you can do estimated taxes and put that information on the FAFSA, and then you would have an opportunity to make some corrections. The important thing is that received by March 10th.
Well, let's just say everything is going wrong at home and they weren't able to get the necessary paperwork done. What happens if you can't make that deadline?
Well, what happens is you would still be considered for financial aid, but you would limit the financial aid that you would be considered for. So after filing, after the March 10th deadline, you would only be considered for a Pell Grant and or student loans. So a student really wants to make a concerted effort of filing by that received by March 10th date. That puts them in a position to be considered for state campus-based aid, which is university aid through the federal government, and you know, Pell Grants and student loans.
I know you've mentioned a lot about state and federal. What kind of programs do they offer here at Purdue Cal for students needing aid?
Well, they would have to file the FAFSA, and then we certainly would look to see if they were eligible for state aid and a Pell Grant and student loans. And the federal government also offers some campus-based aid, like the Federal Work-Study Program and Supplemental Education Grant. And we would look to see whether or not the student would be eligible for those types of aid programs. Okay. Once again, the received by March 10th deadline date has a lot to do with that. Can't emphasize
we've mentioned that 4 or 5 times already, so I mean,
yeah.
March 10th, I'll write it on my forehead, I promise.
Can't emphasize that enough.
That is a big date, though.
Yes,
I mean,
it is.
You not only would forego the opportunity to get as much money as you're entitled for, right. It would just make for a lot of headaches down at your office, I'm sure.
Sure. There is another scholarship there is a scholarship application that we have, and it's called the Merit Award Scholarship Application, and we certainly want students to file that particular application. It's a separate application than the FAFSA, and students place themselves in a position to possibly receive merit scholarship awards through that particular application.
And I know you want the students to take advantage of this. I know there's probably some folks out there that would feel, oh, this is shameful, or you know, I shouldn't be doing this. This is something the government wants eligible students to take advantage of. Am I right?
We recommend that everyone file. A lot of times students or their parents will say, well, you know, I won't get any financial aid. Well, you don't know that unless you file. So we certainly ask students or recommend to students and their families to go ahead and to file and see what's available. And if it is just student loans, they certainly don't have to accept that. But a lot of times scholarship applicants need to file their FAFSA.
Okay. And what are some of the, what would you tell people who say there's no way they can afford college?
Well, I would say for them to contact the Office of Financial Aid, and certainly at Purdue University Calumet, then we would sit down with students and their families, break down the costs as to what is actually out-of-pocket costs and what are what we call part of the cost of attendance formula. So I certainly would recommend that.
And Carol, what telephone number could they reach you at?
They can reach us at 219-989-2301, and they can also contact us through an email, and that's finaid, F-I-N-A-I-D, .calumet.purdue.edu, or they certainly can visit us at the Enrollment Services Center in Lachey Hall 130, and we'd be happy to help them with their questions.
All right, great, great. And I know the Strategic Committee at Purdue Calumet has made to increasing the scholarship dollars for students. That's we had Chancellor Cohen on earlier in the year, and he made reference to that. What exactly is that all about?
Well, Purdue University Calumet is committed to their students, and college is affordable, and we're trying to help the students through scholarship programs and the strategic plan to have additional revenues or resources available to the student. And in addition to that, we're also looking for trying to find additional jobs on campus for the student, as well as you know, higher pay.
Oh, great, great. Well, I guess this is getting near the end of the interview here, so I'll ask these questions. What are some of the most frequently asked questions? I'm sure you get a lot, Carol, down at your office.
Well, we do, but the main thing is, well, I guess a lot of times the students and their families feel that the FAFSA is very, very intimidating. And the questions come from all sorts of angles. But I guess my message would be to, it is not, or we don't feel it's intimidating. It is easy to file, and we would really recommend that students and their families contact the Office of Financial Aid at Purdue Calumet, and would be more than happy to help them with it.
And so there's plenty of people down there to help any questions that anyone might have.
Yes, that's correct. Any type of question that they have, and they just, like I said, they come from all different angles. But the important message is the FAFSA form is not as intimidating as what people think. It really is easy.
Easier than the 1040s, or?
I think so. Well, the 1040s are done, and you're just pulling those figures and putting it on the FAFSA.
Right.
So it is easier than the 1040s.
So let's review very quickly. Get those taxes done.
Right.
And March?
Received by March 10th. And that's an important deadline date, especially if you want to be considered for state aid. And the important part of that is state aid is gift aid, aid that you don't have to return. So you want to be sure that you place yourself in consideration for that type of aid.
And the government truly wants eligible students to take advantage of this to further their education, I'm sure. I mean,
absolutely.
That's why these programs are all set up. There's you know, sure, there's some paperwork involved and everything, but definitely worth the cost if you could knock some money off the tuition, which everyone knows is very expensive and probably one of the biggest stumbling blocks to getting higher education. Well,
financial aid helps students and their families make college affordable. And it is indeed affordable, and they want to take advantage of every resource that they have.
I know in the remaining time, we've got about a minute left or so. You mentioned something about jobs and through the strategic plan. What types of jobs? Would it be working around here at the campus, in the cafeteria, or what exactly?
Well, through the federal work-study program, we have jobs, you know, through in the offices. In fact, the financial aid office has student staff answering the phones. We certainly have staff in the Enrollment Services Center registering students, guiding students through the FAFSA and through the different programs that we have, such as the class schedule, statement of classes. we're assisting the student in making their access to university resources easier.
Oh, great,
Okay.
great. Well, Carol, thanks a lot. Once again, March 10th, the big deadline, right?
Received by, you know.
Received by March 10th.
Right.
Let me stipulate that.
Right.
Carol Zinka, the Associate Director of Financial Aid here at Purdue University Calumet, thanks so much for coming onto the program with all that important information. I really appreciate it.
Well, thank you for having us. It was a pleasure.
Thanks again,
Okay.
Carol.
All righty.
And thank you for joining us. That concludes this episode of Purdue University Calumet's Purdue Cal and You.
Right.
I'll get it all out one of these days. I'm your host, Steven Haas. Have a great day.
Purdue Pride, Calumet Convenience. Purdue University Calumet is all about succeeding in the classroom, on the job, on and off campus. Success at Purdue Calumet is all about earning a degree and becoming prepared for the challenges of today's ever-changing work world. For details about Purdue Calumet's more than 100 associate, bachelor's, master's degree, and professional certificate programs, phone 1-800-HI-PURDUE. Purdue Calumet, committed to helping students succeed.
You too can feel the pride of earning a prestigious Purdue University diploma. And you can do it conveniently right here in Northwest Indiana. Purdue University Calumet. Purdue Pride, Calumet Convenience.
I'd say the thing that impresses me most about attending Purdue Calumet would be the faculty, the fact that they're very open and they teach from different levels of experience and from different areas of knowledge.
I feel Purdue Cal is helping me be successful because it's giving me room to grow as an individual and as well as a leader.